Good afternoon to each and everyone. I'm going to discuss the biographical sources, chapter 16 of reference and information service and introduction. So, let's start. Uses and characters. Uses and characteristics. In uses and characteristics, from investigating potential corporate board member to learn about president for school report, from exploring personal genealogical relationship to searching figure for dissertation, biographical question, abound other reference this. At all type of libraries and for all types of reason, users ask questions about the lives of others, although the question may focus on the lives of local personage or family members. They will more commonly focus on the lives of the famous and the infamous. So, to determine what sources are most appropriate and most helpful for the user of particular library, it is necessary to evaluate both and sources available and the needs of the users. So there is a source evaluation and selection should encompass such as scope, accuracy, currency, and format and cost. This type of question commonly receive the depth of response generally required and the age of educational level of the average user are often included in evaluation of user needs. And the other one, to classic biographical sources, there is current biography, the whose title, and Encyclopedia of World Biography. And now, this is a number of excellent electronic sources have recently involved that greatly reduce the time required for many biographical searches. In other one, sources there is a sources it is biographical in context, biography reference bank. It is allows simultaneous searching of numerous biographical sources and many of the results are available in full text. This source this source allow cumulative access to and searching of multiple edition, title and series may include resources will be reviews available only in print. So, these sources a while ago, this will be available on print only. But now, I think this source will be found in internet or website. There is maybe in the website. In biographical information, search strategy will be affected by a number of factors. The number and type of sources consulted for an elementary student will obviously be more limited than the number and the type of consulted for a graduate student. So, you must know how much information is needed or how quickly it is needed, and by whom is needed must also be considered. In this search strategy, biographical information must be aware to the needed of the user, to how they find information on your perspective library. Also, there is must be the subject of biographical search, and what is already known about the subject will also impact in search process. So once as a student, or once the student is naghahanap siya ng information that related on their subject, they must be also have a search process, or maybe is the impact on their work. In information concerning a well-known historical figure is often readily available, even if the user is unsure about the spelling of the name, the time, or the subject area in which the biography was most influential. Unfortunately, the searches for information pertaining to lesser known of an individual can be significantly hampered by such a lack of knowledge maybe. But it is true because William Katz had said that answering reference question may involve the resource of the whole library and for the matter library and collection elsewhere. So there are number of standard search sources with which may student of reference should become familiar. In addition to the classic biographical sources, standard encyclopedia and the indexing sources can also extremely useful when pursuing information about people. Amazing. So, there is the many specialized biographical sources. Exist so many that it's impossible to know all of them. Or the numerous excellent guide to the biographical sources have been produced to assess library locating specialized search to meet the need of the users. And there is a primary sources. In primary sources, there is a vital records set directories, census data. May be necessary for some type of question because this goes beyond reference to research. It is important for the reference librarian to know when to direct user to this type of source and where to direct them so that they can obtain the document they need. Or there although a number of biographical sources may be considered universal in that they include persons regardless of their nationality, their subject of interest, or whether they are living or dead. Many sources consulted in biographical search are subdivided into a variety of categories. So, this subdivision can be determined by the type of information the source provide, or the type of person included in the source or the format of the source itself. Another one, the strength and limitation of each category of sources as well as goal of the user. Research must be considered when choosing the sources to be consulted. And let's go to the direct versus indirect. Indirect versus indirect. Biographical sources are typically designated as their direct or indirect, or this designation refers to the type of information that the source provide. Indirect sources provide information within the source itself, whereas indirect source indicate which title should be consulted in order to locate the needed of information. Also, it are often further classified as to being either directory source or the dictionary sources. So, in general, directory sources provide basic and brief information about the biography, or must be title of the whole variety are classic example of biographical directory, or more detailed, easy-length description of the person of interest are provided by those sources commonly referred to a biographical dictionary. The current biography and American National Biography exemplify the category of biographical dictionary. Indirect sources provide very little biographical information within the body of the source, rather they indicate which work the searcher should consult to obtain additional information. Or must be indirect sources. It has only limited, it's only little biographical information that involved. So the indexes such as biographical genealogical master index and biographical index are commonly used in direct biographical sources. Also, this title provide just enough information about the person of the person interest for identification purposes, and then point the user to supplementary data. Also, to categorize of direct and indirect are very commonly when describing biographical sources. There are many work that can be classified as both direct and indirect. Also, there is sources that provide any types of biography or list of work, consult or recommend that source for further reading at the end of biographical entry easily qualify for both category. There is Encyclopedia of World Biography and Contemporary Author. These two provide both direct and indirect access to information. and Biography in Context and Biography Reference Bank, which are electronic sources that provide aggregated cumulative coverage of numerous and varied biographical sources. Also provide both type of information. So let's proceed in current versus retrospective. In biographical sources are also often categorized by the type of person included in the work and are commonly designated as the being either current or res- retrospective. There is person included in the current source are generally assumed to be living at the time of publication. So, the who variety of source serves as the representative example of current sources. That must be the example. And retrospective sources are understood to provide information about person from the past and include only those who are deceased. Or the Dictionary of American Biography and the American National Biography are two such sources. A number source provide information on both current and respective figure. In current biography, profile only current individual but provide access to obituaries for deceased individuals who were previously profiled by the publication and citation for the issue of current biography in which that profile appear. So let's know the biographical in context and biographical reference. It is regularly include both living or deceased individual and international versus national. Biographical sources are often classified as either international or national in scope. The international sources, such as Who's or Who in the World, an encyclopedia of the world, are international and coverage include persons regardless of their ethnicity or country of birth. And in the national sources, restrict their coverage to individual born in the nation in question, and as becoming more common in today, shrinking word to those person or prominence in or important to the nation being coverage. There is two examples of source that limited nationally in their scope. Must be Who's Who in America or American National Biography. And alternative sources. In alternative sources, there is person include in major biographical work have obviously obtained some level of fame. The area in the which they have achieved their status may dictate into which source they are placed. So, those of long-standing fame, such as classic Greek poet or outstanding achievement, or such as past president of the United States, are likely to be included in selective and well-respected dictionary sources, whereas those of sport or entertainment may be restricted to sources with good coverage of individual of broad popular interests, such as current biography and biography.com. In alternative sources, you must be belong the newspaper and magazine, cause can serve as excellent source of biographical information, particularly for those figures are newly famous, fleeting famous, or famous for notorious or criminal reasons. Art, although perpetually interest, the notorious are often included from many of standard biographical sources. Or this doesn't nothing to listen the interest of general public and the periodical can often fill the gap. Actually, in the past, there is limited indexing made locating periodical article challenging and time consuming, with biographical index often being the best resources for locating article about people. So there is periodical indexes that have made great strides both in content and format, and periodical articles are now much more readily available. This must be seen in the chapter 21 that you will know our next discussion. Or the or indexes act as an excellent supplement to the traditional sources by providing access to very current information before the standard sources have been updated. It should be noted that these indexes are limited in their retrospective coverage, or if older articles are required, a lack of indexing may still hamper the search process. Or encyclopedias can also act as the supplementary biographical sources and should not be overlooked. In encyclopedia, their articles can provide concise and helpful overview concerning the person sought are quite useful for the historical figure, or must be particularly those cre- created for young people are often an excellent source for picture. Maybe marami sa atin is alam tong encyclopedias must be found in computer. Ewan ko lang kung available pa rin siya sa computer, pero last I check is elementary pa lang ako nung na encounter ko tong encyclopedia that talk about some pictures. And also, it is important that the index to the encyclopedia be consulted, because important reference to the life work and the influence of the person may be missed if the index is ignored. The way can serve as another astounding alternative for very current information or for difficult to locate person. To some of well-known biographical websites such as biography.com and InfoPlease Biography, a wealth of additional biography information may be gleaned from the web, personal website, or the famous company website that provide profile of corporate official and the website of smaller local newspaper are few examples of potential web resources that may be taped. So, some finding information, pwede nating hanapin sa kanilang website or maybe the website of biographic.com or the website of InfoPlease Biography. Must be pwede yung maging additional doon sa hinahanap nating information. See? Web searching is likely to produce some kind of result. For most researchers, they may not be result of quality. It is important to view each site critically and evaluate it for such qualities as accuracy, reliability, and currency. Although the users may contend that otherwise, searching accepted electronic biographical sources of no quality is often the far more efficient than generally web searching. The IP12 can provide recommendation to quality website with biographical information. So, evaluation. Evaluation, as the staggering amount of biographical information is available and may read new work are published yearly, it is imperative for libraries to carefully evaluate the source available and to work diligently to direct user to those sources deemed to be of the highest quality. Whether adding a print source to the traditional reference collection or an electronic source to the web-based collection, librarians should strive to ensure the user or consulting sources that are currently accurate, comprehensive, and easy to use. Currency. Currency. When evaluating the currency of work, it is important to consider how quickly, how often, and how thoroughly the work is updated, or must be the entries in the retrospective sources generally do not need regularly updating and will be updated only if the significant new information about a historical figure is discovered. Because lives and fortune can change very quickly, it is extremely important for current sources to be regular and thoroughly updated. So there is dated entries that have the serious potential consequence of providing incorrect information to the researchers, or directory sources have regularly scheduled updated. Other dictionary sources are updated infrequently, offering updates and reviews only when the new edition is published. In some direct dictionary sources that are published serially, such as contemporary author and current biography, Periodically include revised entry to keep the information provided more accurate, or in the print sources that by their nature cannot update it as often or as quickly as electronic sources. That it must be noted that the potential for electronic sources to be updated more quickly and more often does not guarantee that the sources are updated or indicate how the truth those updates may be. Accuracy and authority. Issue of accuracy and authority can be considered on several levels. When evaluating any reference work, it is important to investigate what kinds of review the source received upon publication and whether the work has been included in the standard guide to reference work. The reputation of the publisher of the work can also serve as a good indicator of the overall quality. On Gail Wilson and Mark Guess are some of the best known as the most trusted name in the biographical reference publishing. It is consideration that is somewhat unique to biographical work encompasses the source of the biographical data, or the biographies themselves are asked to provide the information included in the entry, or must be self-compiled information will be superior because it will be most accurate. The accuracy and legitimacy of the information provided is dependent on the honesty and truthness of the individual entrant. Although the entrant may not actually provide factually incorrect information, but the information may be effectively edited to provide a more flattering, or if not the more complete picture. So, if the information located in source SIM is at questionable or incomplete, it is highly advisable to consult additional sources in effort to provide the user with the most complete answer possible. Or let's proceed scope and comprehensiveness. The scope statement of the source will be indicate which individual are eligible for inclusion. A clearly worded and well-defined statement of scope will help to legitimacy to source of its entries. Commonly ways to limited scope include whether the entrant are living or deceased, whether the entrant are residents of particular country or region, or whether the entrant are employee in particular field or profession. Inclusion of as many individuals as the possible that meet the state scope result in more comprehensive source. So, if prominent individual who meet the state scope or overlook, that must be the overall legitimacy of the source will suffer, or if individuals who do not meet the qualification set, done by the scope statement are include the quality of the source code or should be questioned. Then other one is format. In format, the useless of information, even information of highest quality, can be greatly diminished if the sources of information is difficulty to assess. There is an assess, so information can be rendered useless if this inaccessible as a result of poor organization or lack of access point. So, must be the number and the type of available index in a print source will greatly impact the overall effectiveness of the work. In electronic sources have greatly potential in terms of searching accessibility. There is source allow for, so searching essentially all the field of the record, searching a number of factors in combination to refine a search or event, searching the entire content of the database by keyword. This search power of electronic sources should be exploited to the fullest so that searchers can locate the information of interest quickly and effectively. So, the ability of electronic sources to allow for cumulative searching of multiple editions or titles such as with the biography and genealogy master index is an excellent and time-saving advantage for any searcher. So, some librarians find the variety of work included in aggregate sources somewhat detrimental, or there are many different sources type or varying rate and depth, so there is no guarantee of consistency in information located for include individual. So to the increased efficiency and convenience of such source, other with this concern that carefully attention should be paid to the spelling of name when using electronic sources. So when it's come to print sources, where the traditionally alphabetically arrangement of the source and or its index may help the searcher to stumble upon the correct entry even if the spelling is inaccurate. Electronic sources are far less likely to return a result if the name is spelled incorrectly. Or sources are beginning to offer close matches such as alternative spelling or the offered alphabetical browse feature in order to assess the searching in locating the correct individual. Caution. Caution is a number of cautions should be taken into account when discussing biographical sources. In many early biographical work, particularly those from 19th and early 20th century America, were essentially vanity publication that prominent citizen could be offered inclusion in source for a fee, and publishers should profit. Although these works are now useful to scholars as the historical snapshot of the era and the locale, they are not legitimate and unbiased biographical sources. A large number of vanity publications continue to exist, the biographical realm, and any publication that require an individual to purchase a copy of this title before he or she is included or that offer includes individual for a fee should be viewed suspect. Librarian may be questioned about such source by users who have received an invitation for inclusion. Tax should be employed when discussing this invitation and sources. Quality and completeness of information included in the biographical entries has the variety greatly over time. Selection. The type and depth of information needed can vary greatly by library. It is interesting to note the number of classic biographical sources are useful in all libraries. Sources can be just useful as to corporate librarian as to school media specialists that who's who in America may provide the answer to simple ready reference question. The AC format and excellent coverage of popular figure and currently biography may provide the supplemental information needed for the more depth query, or the biography and the genealogy master provide efficient and effective direction to those pursuing biographical research. So there is need of user. Although some sources are useful at a multiple level, the needs of user of specific type of libraries will impact each library selection of biographical tool. Dictionaries that were written at an appropriate level for the student being served and provide illustration are likely to be more useful than directories in school media center are also likely to be more useful than directory to the student user of academic library. Dictionary will be far more useful to students as they work, complete report and project or prominent individual. In directories in dictionary sources, there is identifying researches specializing in particular field or locating colleagues of different education institution and obtaining contact information for potential donor are just a few of the possible user for biographical dictionaries at academic libraries. So in directory, that provide very current contact information and briefly in biographical data are often the most useful biography source for user of special libraries. Directory source may be extremely used to the staff and faculty user of the library. Both dictionary and directory source is progression of difficult and data should be made available for use. So, by providing the need of user, it's very important because it, it, it is difficult to anticipate the broad range of questions that may be faced in a public library. That is the one of important to provide cross section of sources. So let's proceed and cost. Cost, our librarians are not financially available to afford all of the sources that might be helpful to their user. To evaluating source for quality, usefulness, the price of source must all be considered. So, once, for example, as my users, na pumunta sa library, na as a librarian, when the user asks me about the sources they need, but the sources they need was not available in library because of the cost of the sources, or hindi siya available kasi hindi siya nabili or hindi kaya ng budget. Classic biographical sources offer a aggregate version that may be sufficient for smaller librarians with limited budget. So, there is some library that lack of books that must be just like what I said a while ago, must be some sources not available on the library. For example, the Almanac of Famous People act as a significantly abbreviated version of Biographical and Genealogy Master Index, covering the more than 39,000 of the larger work in 19 million plus entries. 39,000? Masyadong mahal, so can't they can't afford it. So the uniqueness of the work considered for the collection should be taken into account, and title with similar scope statement should be studied closely. It is unlikely that smaller libraries truly need or can easily afford title and duplicate coverage. An electronic version of some sources may be available at reduced price for those librarians that can hold the print version of the source, that providing additional access without significant extra cost. So this must be available in library that they can afford. Or electronic aggregate source that provide full text access to numerous classic biographical sources may be enable library to provide access to more sources than they could otherwise to available to afford in print. And consortial pricing. which may result in substantial discount in price, should be investigated for those sources that may be useful to multiple libraries in an area. A number of quality biographical sources are available free or change on the web. Important general sources. Although it is not possible to provide a detailed description of every biographical sources, a number of regularly used sources of the widely accepted were discussed in this chapter. Several of the texts listed under additional reading at the end of this chapter can be used to identify more special biographical sources suitable for particular collection. So it is must be important the general sources. Directory of who's who form. Who's directory in one variation or another are commonly used biographical sources. They provide succinct, non-critical access to biographical facts for currently prominent individuals, including name, age, education, family, contact information, and so on. The original Who was first published in England in 19th century and limited in three those are British citizens. The Who's Who. It also been noted that this is the original work of this type of the is the only Who's Who title that is not qualified by some additional designations such as who's in America or who's in Midwest or who's in include more than 33,000 influential people in British public life today. This is some directories of who's who form that have achievement by measure by position of leadership or responsibility held significantly, creative, educationally work, public speaking, publishing, or noteworthy contribution. In the government official, the national state upper level administration from academics institution, and the NK personnel from major business are generally ensure inclusion. Those selected for inclusion are sent in questionnaire. So, multiple typically used title or publication including those limited by the profession or vocation, such as who in science and engineering by gender, and who's American woman or by ethnic identity such as who among African Americans. Because these work region or field instead of whole country, more members of the subgroup are included in this limited title than in the original nation source. Or many countries of the world produce some type of who's who directory, providing information about their prominent citizen. Here the sample of listing of who's in America. The who's directory are currently sourced and aim only to include those who are among the living. who was who and who was who in America, provide reprint of entries for those individuals are subject of continued reference interest even after they have died. In 1897 to 2000, in who was who appear here to those all entries such as cumulative index less the name and year of birth and death that indicating the volume in which they are to be found. 1607-2010, the volume of Who's on America has been spun in this year. The Marquez Who's on the Web database provide aggregate searchable access to 23 Marquez Who title. More than 1.4 million individuals are included in the database, which may be searched by the 15 field, include name, occupation, gender, degrees, colleges or university years or graduation habits, religion, and more. This field may be searches individual or in combination to create specific search statements such as access point, and particularly the ability to combine criteria far surpass the assessment available in the print format. Another advantage of the electronic format, it is the daily updating both of biographical fact and include figure. In the international use include more than 23,000 of the most distinguished men and women from around the world. Entries typically provide nationality, date and place of birth, current position and career to date, honor and award, publication and artistic achievement, and contact detail. The online versions update quickly include recently deceased entrant as the living individual cover in the print version. Who's Who in the World contain contain approximately 60,000 entries for persons of note from around the world, including heads of state, politician, writer, artist, business, and religion leaders. That each entries include an individual. These entries include date and place of birth, nationality, martial or marital or family information, education, career background, award and honors, artistic achievement, publication, leisure interest, and contact information. There is two specialized directories for finding biographical information on contemporary scholar are American Men Women of Science includes biographical entries and nearly 135,000 living scientists from the United States and Canada. And the second is Directory of the American Scholars. It's arranged by discipline from the humanities and social science with geographical indexes. In indexes, the biographical general master includes citation from than 2,100 printers that provide biographical information. In indexes, there is source and print source. The source provides later biographical data within its entries, just name and birth and death date. It effectively point the searcher to where biographical information is published. Print source is updated with supplement volume twice a year or exists in multiple volume, and its cumulative searching offered by the electronic version is quite beneficial, saving both time and effort. In indexes, there is biography indexes provide access to the biographical information published in more than 3,000 magazine and journal and 2,000 book each year. Citations are not limited to biographies and autographies, but also include interview, obituaries, letter, diaries, memoirs, juvenile literature review, and biographical coverage, include person from the past and the present. Biography, genealogy master, the online source may be searched cumulatively and it's updated daily instead of quarterly as the case with the print format. Here the type of this is the example of biography and genealogy master index. So see, it's so very different. And biographical dictionaries, there is current biography which began publication in 1940. It is a useful biography as sources provide accurate, quick, readable, easy length, biography international personality. In this subject, to have had some impact of American life or often important figure in the popular culture. The print source is published monthly with about 20 profile in each issue as well as brief overtures for fast entrant who recently are. Contemporary author is an extremely comprehensive choice to biographical information about authors. This began in 1962. It referenced more than 130,000 authors. You can describe as you can describe this as biobibliographical guide. That must be the work contain biographical detail or reference to recent news about the author, biographical and critical reference, or more than that. Modern writer and significance writer from the early 20th century from around the world are included, and when possible biographical information is provided directly from the entrant. In Newsmaker, It is designed to complement the supplement contemporary author by providing biographical information about the prominent individual who are not writer. Like there is index enable location of entries by name, nationality, occupation, and subject. In this separate obituary section, provide concise profile of recently deceased newsmakers. In contemporary Black biography focus on important person of African heritage, each volume contains 55 biographies. This includes each volume, name, occupation, nationality, and subject and texts. Both newsmakers and contemporary Black biography are available online as part of the biographical context. So let's proceed in current and retrospective. The Encyclopedia of World Biography contains more than 7,000 biographical sketches of the current historical figure. To the expected historical entrance movie, television, and music start include. The text is immediately readable and thus quiet, accessible to as well as the general public, or must be illustration and biographical reference are provided for many of the entries. In African American National Biography, there's contain more than 4,000 entries written and signed by the distinguished scholar under the direction of the editor-in-chief Henry Louis Gates Jr. and Everly Brock Higginbotham. Scope include slave and abolitionist, writer, artists and performers, politician and business people, athlete and lawyer, journalist and civil rights leader, list of American prison winner, Middle East, member of Congress, judge, and retrospective. Dictionary American Biography is the massive work containing a narrative biographical account more than 19,000 prominent deceased Americans. In 1920s, published the first volume Source. In 1930s, followed by the published the first index Source. In 1980, the update and supplement provide coverage. In 1990 was published the comprehensive index as sex section, including subject of biographical birth, place, school and college attended, occupation, topic discussed in biography, and contribution name. And the Scribner Encyclopedia of American Lives include 8 volumes to date, with the first volume covering 1981 to 1985. The most recent covers those who died between 2006 and 2008. In American National Biography is an equally massive but far more discerned biography will focus on the significant deceased American, providing news entries from approximately 10,000. For indexes are provided in the print edition, subject, contributors, birthplace, and occupation and realm of renown. The 1990 The title, The Occupation and Realm of Renown, originally published this little is available in print and online. So must be available this in online. So some of user they must be found this in the online. An online version is revised, updated, and expanded semi-annually to ensure accuracy. Access point that may be searched singly with combination go beyond the print index to also include the fields such as gender, birth date, death date, and limited to special collection. In 2004, was released the new edition of Dictionary of National Biography titled Oxford Dictionary of National Biography. In this edition, continue to focus on deceased Britons but foreign-born persons who have achieved significance in Britain are also included. The revised sources contain in excess of 54,000 biographies, or more than 16,000 of which are new to this edition. So the new edition has received excellent review for the content coverage and quality of writing, although the original title was somewhat lacking in available indexing. So there is a selected biography also grouped by names such as Astronomers Royal, Climber of Mount Everest, Poet of Laureate. So this is the online update. In Australian, developed by the Australian National University, which available online, contain more than 10,000 articles on 11,237 persons who were important in Australian history or represent the diverse nature of the Australian experience. Browsing be done. Name or occupation, the advanced search feature enables search page on data, place of birth and death, religion influence, cultural heritage, occupation, and gender. Entries includes physical description, family detail, distinction gain, career, occupation, and religion affiliation. And retrospective sources may also focus on particular ethnic or gender group or profession. Example include is the Dictionary of Scientific Biography, or it is supplement New Dictionary of Scientific Biography. The two publications exist in online version that called the Complete Dictionary of Scientific Biography as the part of Gale Virtual Reference Library. New Dictionary of Scientific Biography includes 575 new biographies treating scientists deceased since 1950 or overlooked in original TSP. There is 225 of the original article have been updated to reflect more than recent scholarship. There is more women and African Americans have been included, as well as more scientists from Arabic and Asian countries. There is article describe work and career and conclude with biography of work by an about the scientist. Notable American women provide scholar essay and historical significance American women. In 1971, the first three-volume published, 1607 to 1950 covered the period. That must be covered the period. In 1980s, the fourth volume published. 1951 to 1975 between this year focused on women who died. So, modeled on the DAB, each entry contained a fairly length life history covering personal and career event, and each entry conclude with a list of primary secondary source for further research and index by occupation provide. So let's proceed and aggregate source. The aggregate sources. There is generally aggregators of online reference sources such as Credo reference include a growing number of biographical titles. To aggregate sources devote to biographical information provide in research coverage. So this is biographical in context. As in easy to use, online sources provide access to biographical information on more than 500,000 individuals. Biographical information from more than 170 guild titles, such as newspaper, contemporary authors, contemporary black biography, and to name such few, our index are made available full text. The full text article from magazine and multimedia content are also included in the comprehensive database. On the database, are regularly updated to include new content and to update existing entries. There are several different search options: name, occupation, nationality, birthplace, death place. These search allow additional limiting option, including content type, or must be the convenience and time saving of searching so many standard and accepted reference works at the one time is quite significant, as are the collection development implication. Libraries that might be enabled to afford a fraction of this biographical source in print may be able to access of them full text include via this database. A search of person can be limited: occupation, nationality, ethnicity, gender, birth year, or death year. Biographical Reference Bank is an aggregate source from Wilson. This source provides biographical entries for more than 600,000 individuals with up to 1,500 new profiles. So, biographical index or current biography, the Wilson Word Author Series, the Janitor Author and Illustrator Series, and more combined with biographical content from other Wilson databases and selective biographical material from other reference publisher or narrative biographies, more than 66,000 image and link to more than 380,000 full-text magazine articles are provided as are interview, review, speeches, and overtures. Extensive database allow searching by name, profession, place of origin, gender, ethnicity, birth and or death date, title or work, and keyword. In biography context, the over convenience time that may be saved by the accessing this numerous valuable title via one interface and one search is quite substantial. In free web resources, there is biography.com. Is outgrow of the art entertainment channel popular biography television program providing more than 25,000 entries. The database is not limited to those who have been featured on the program. The coverage and content for those who have been featured is much more complete. It emphasizes coverage of figure in popular culture, historical figure, and scholar are also included. Regardless, this user-friendly and familiar site is usual free source of legitimate biography content with which many users will already be comfortable. InfoPlease Biography has more than 30,000 free biographical entries. This can be searched by name or browsed by the occupation category or by race and ethnicity. So, the search feature thought easy to use or somewhat inexact, providing link to all entries that contain any parts of name, search. So, in search strategy to be used to locate biographical information, a number of factors should be considered such as what the user knows about the individual being sought, what the user is hoping to learn about the individual, and what level of information is needed. It's whether the person is well or obscure, whether cover should be scholar or popular, whether the user is sure of the spelling or unsure of even the name. There are sources and strategies that can be employed to attempt to locate the required information. The subject of search is well known as the possible, even likely the problem will not lie in the being able to find something about the individual. Or the abundance of information available in the library may find it wise to assess the user in evaluating the search result to determine which sources are most appropriate. Or in the individual south is not knows the finding anything may become issue and it may be necessary to employ sources with the regional or local focus. If the user know very little about the individual being sought, it can be very difficult to narrow the search or even to be the source that the locate result are actually for the correct person. So, it is extremely important for the librarian to obtain any and all information possible from the users or must be information that the user maybe feel insignificant or information that the user is hesitant to share because he or she is unsure of its accuracy may well be the information that the librarian will need in order to conduct a successful search. In biographical information, exists in range of depth and completeness, from the throat scholarly article to popular gossipy coverage. In order to perform a successful reference transaction, it is necessary for the librarian to ascertain the level of coverage desired by the user. In Dictionary of American Biography, from this source, that's elementary school student who find the article. Current biography is useful and readable, or that graduate student could find a single profile from sufficient for term paper research. So, it is equally unlikely that a librarian can assume what level of coverage is most appropriate for the specific user. Also, the user can choose the desired source, thus indicating to the librarian the type of coverage preferred if the additional information is necessary. In factual data, such as or birth or death, full name, education, or contact information, biographical directories are excellent sources. If the individual is famous, basic information such as nationality and whether the information is still alive may be known as the user and the librarian. If so, it may be possible to go without hesitation to the appropriate directory, such as who for those British nationality, who's who in American for those from North America, and so on. Marguer's Who on Wave is another network list possibility for locating living North American figure, because this source includes on the regional or many of the subject specific who's who title. There is multiple sources can be consulted quickly and easily. On the Biographical Dictionary, encyclopedia article may all well prove an effective resource for general factor data about well-known individual. In single volume or universal biographies, which do not restrict by time, place, or subject, or which include both living and the dead, have long served as effect starting point when letter is known about the individual south. In Merriam-Webster Biographical Dictionary, this title is providing very brief biographical information for about 30 word figure, and Chamber Biographical Dictionary with entries for 17,500 individuals. In Biographical in Context and the Biographical Reference Bank, regularly update electronic aggregators may now be the best option to serve in their state for individual from all period. So, when the subject in this question is now known to the librarians, must be the user can provide letter detail, the librarian may find it efficient to consult an indirect sources such as biography and genealogy master in order to determine in which directories can will be found, or biographical in context scan electronic source can be act as the both an indirect and direct sources for this type of question. or single search. In this type of source can provide the search can only with result for directory information, but also with dictionary type information as well as reference in event that the user decide to pursue the subject further. So in these sources, might be the user need this to find the some information or sources that their needs. So narrative biographies. In narrative biographies, if the user is looking for easily length coverage, biographical dictionaries should be consulted. Oxford Dictionary of National Biography may be available in important historical figure or British descent. Dictionary of American Biography or American National Biography. It is historical figure or American heritage may be found. Encyclopedia of Words Biography, which is international in scope and may provide in entry. Know about the figure. And direct source such as Biography and General Master Index. Aggregate source that provide both direct and indirect access to information such as biography in context or biography reference. This should be consulted early in search in order to locate information with a minimum of lost time and fruitless searching. If the user is hoping to locate detail or is exhaustive coverage of an individual, there is a number of steps will be required. That must be the indirect biographical sources should be consulted to obtain reference to the article on the biographies that are available in the standard biography reference sources. Then the article located should be consulted for the any biographic reference or recommendation that may be include. Information about individual of interest may also be available on non-biographical periodical articles or sources, biographical index, biography in context, the biography reference bank, or even the general periodical index can provide access to such article. If the user is hoping to obtain as much information about the person in question as possible, the existence of full-length biography or autobiography of individual should be investigated. So, we need to investigate some sources that can provide on our users. In subject inquiries, a number of sources are designated to help search locate information on individual, prominent, and particular subject or application. Sources such as contemporary author, American men, women of science, and whose in American politics are just few of the numerous subject-specific sources available. A number of excellent subject-specific free websites also may be consulted for biographical information. So these specialized sources, this is special sources because of their more limited scope are often able to include a larger number of entrants from the field and information at a greater level of detail. So if the profession or feed of the individual sought is known to the user. These subject-specific sources may be good starting point for the search. So the onion list of artists named Yulan or the Internet Movie Database, that's all music guide must be called photos. In IP12, provide useful website and recommendation for available subject-specific web sources. Professional directory, author limited in biographical information they provide may also serve the purpose in biographical searching. Directories often provide the opportunity to verify the name, license, and educational credential of individuals who are not included in the more standard biographical sources. Author and writer are particularly covered in many general biographical sources. That there are a number of excellent sources that focus on this vacation. So if the subject of the search can be considered a writer by any definition. So in this source, offered through cross-reference can be quite valuable when dealing with question or present synonymism. Contemporary author and the contemporary author new revision series and dictionary literary and more than available electronically via Gale literature. Because these aggregate sources also include on work focusing on literary criticism, it is particularly effective resource for those searching not only for biographical information about an author but also for critical information about author work. So this is the some example of combining criteria biographical searching that is cannot uncommon for librarian to be asked to help a user identify the individual who fit a particular set of biographical criteria. Image. If a picture of subject is required, there are a number of sources by the useful. Although some may feel the image are sought only by school children, written reports, but a vast amount of information that may not be readily available to else can be gleaned from the image of individual. Encyclopedia of World Biography and Current Biography generally provide image of their entrant, may be searched electronically. The encyclopedia via biography in context and current biography, either individual or via the biography reference bank. Electronic sources. Biography in context, the Biography Reference Bank, American National Biography, and the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography. It is possible to limit the search to entry with illustration. Encyclopedia, especially those designed for young people, can serve as an excellent source for image. So, like what I said a while ago, that encyclopedia, what must be represent as an image. that when you most of us is know how to use in computer, that's really obvious. Then you can't found the encyclopedia there, and when you find some information, they provide image. They can provide image that represent on the sources or on the information that you must be found. Web search tools such as Google Image may provide clear electronic access to hard to find picture. So, and also in website, you can also found on the Google Image website. Mahanap ka din ng picture doon sa website. For example, naghanap ka ng information, then gumamit ka ng website. So, yung ginamit mong website, there is possibility na may picture silang maipapakita. When dealing with the request for image, the librarian may be faced with the dilemma of having to explain to user why no photograph exists for certain figure historical significant. It is important for the librarian to remain patient and tactful with an explanation the time limitation of photographic technology and to offer artists rendering the possible alternative. So, as a librarian, you should to be patient for the you should to be patient on the user that they must ask you some many question about this source about these sources. So let's proceed in recently disease. And recently deceased individuals who are recently deceased may for free period still be listed in current sources. After they are removed from the current sources, it may take some time before they are included in the retrospective. So, in recently deceased, during this gap, it may be necessary to consult alternative sources. So, there is electronic resources that are regularly updated, particularly sources that includes newspaper, magazine, or journal article may fill these needs. Or such biographical sources that index periodical such as biography index, biography in context, and the biography reference bank as well as general periodical index may be extremely useful. And let's proceed on obituaries. Obituaries can provide a wealth biographical information on famous as well as soon as lesser known. So, the obituaries of some famous individuals may be assessed in the number of ways. Like New York Times Obituaries Index is the standard source to use when searching for obituaries of the well-known, and index is available in print or obituaries can be searched online from the New York Times Web Archive or online New York Times Archive may be searched for citation free or charge. However, full text coverage must be for sales or the current biography provide short obituary notice which reference to the New York obituaries for past obituaries. So, librarian should be sure to investigate this possible avenue of access for obituaries published in local paper because newspaper websites may make their obituary section freely available. Searching using a web search engine such as Google may also yield a neat obituary. So in the obituaries must be guide you to search in Google or other website that must be found the need of users. Biography and General Master may also be used to find some obituary reference. Also, it is important to remember that virtually all persons are listed somewhere, even if only in local sources. So, in local research, no personality. If the user is attempting to locate information in local or lesser known, personalities will be necessary to alter the search strategy or source employed. It is important to remember the virtually person are listed somewhere even if the only local source. If the source cannot available to you for use remotely, the librarian you should again explain what sources are held, what they may contain, what option assess for consulting those sources including interlibrary loan, photocopy request or site visit. So, and locally compiled and created resources, particularly local newspaper or excellent potential sources. With and genealogical information, their genealogical queries are a subject of biographical information are quite popular, especially in public libraries and libraries that house a special collection focusing on family or local history. Because on their popularity, it is necessary for all reference librarians, even those not choosing to specialize in this field, to be familiar with some of the basic genealogical sources. There is a number of excellent electronic options exist when searching for genealogical information. There is Family Search, a free resource from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, provide information how to conduct genealogical research as well as a researchable database of information. And subscription, such as Ancestry Library Edition and Heritage Guest Online, provide extensive coverage and access to word of genealogical research. So, send the list of genealogical sites on the internet provide a categorized index to genealogical resources on the internet, serving as the free starting point for online search. So, and self-publishing family history website, there which may be consistent, incomplete, or inaccurate should be appropriate with caution and carefully evaluated. As when searching for information on local personality genealogical requests may necessitate the consultation of primary source material and the reference request may quickly move into the realm of research that is much be primary source materials such as birth, death, and marriage certificate, census record, and tombstones. So, in the fictional personalities, reference questions may be arise that are presumed to the biographical in nature, but that in fact focus on fictional personality instead of actual person. The librarian may be determined that the name in the question is the fictional personality. Convey this information to user who believe in the person to be real maybe requires some tax. So literary, there is literary characters, gods or epic heroes may be the focus of such inquiries, that is general and subject encyclopedia, such as those focusing on literature, folklore, mythology, and religion may be helpful when searching for reference to fictional figure. In the New Century Encyclopedia of Names has entry for place, event, literary work, and fictional mythological characters, as well as for important people from the past, individuals who are alive at some point but who have since attained legendary status such as saints for heroes and outlaws may also pose unique challenge. So, it should be noted that biographical studies of saints are often quite glorified, frequently to the point that they are considered hagiography legends surrounding folk heroes and outlaws. It is necessary to be acquired on the fictional personalities. And the last one is legend surrounding folk heroes, outlaws. So let's proceed. There is book length biographies. So this must be the last on our topic. Biographical queries are perennially popular at the reference desk, and some users do not wish to stop their investigation with a few mere articles. That recommendation for book-length biographic work may also be requested. This type of request may be considered both of biographical query and reader advisory request. There is both factual and fictionalized book-length biographical exists, and the librarian should take care of ascertaining which type of coverage interests in the users. So biographical books, there is the standard reader adventure resource may be useful, and reader advisory tools with the biographical historical focus should also be consulted. This is one of the biographical books that provide recommendation for factual biographies, biographical novel, fictional portrait, even juvenile biographies. What historical novels do I read? An historical figure in fiction will obviously focus on fictional account. Provide reference to both and free source such as internet provide database may also be helpful. There is theoretical and cinematic adaptation of biography may also be interest to user. This is the 16.5 search strategies seeking Mr. Rogers that he can do. So that's all, and thank you. By the way, I am Mama Sao Sahrima, and thank you.